When my parents said those words, the room went silent except for the sound of my fork dropping. My father's voice was flat, not angry, just final. My mother stared down at her plate, as if she couldn't bear to meet my eyes. I sat there, the taste of dinner gone bitter in my mouth. 2 days. That's what my childhood home had been reduced to, a deadline. It wasn't out of nowhere. Things had been tense for months. I'd lost my job earlier that year after the company downsized, and while I scrambled to find something else, my parents started seeing me as a burden. My sister, the golden child, was moving into a new apartment, her engagement plastered all over Instagram, and my parents couldn't stop praising her. Every conversation with me turned into a fight. When will you grow up? Why don't you take life seriously? Your sister never caused us this much stress. I tried to explain that I was applying, learning new skills, even doing freelance work, but they didn't want to hear it. To them, effort didn't matter. Only appearances did. That night, when my father gave his 2 days ultimatum, it wasn't just about me staying in the house. It was about control, about reminding me that I didn't belong unless I fit their mold of success. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell them how cruel they sounded, how much I'd been trying, how much I still loved them despite everything. But I didn't. I just nodded, stood up from the table, and walked to my room. For the next 2 days, I didn't sleep much. I packed my things slowly, each item carrying a memory, some good, most painful. Photos from when my parents used to cheer for me, trophies from when I thought they were proud. By the time the second morning came, my car was filled with boxes. I stood in the driveway, staring at the house one last time. My father watched from the porch, arms crossed. My mother didn't come out. I didn't beg. I didn't ask to stay. I just said, "Thanks for everything," and drove off, the road stretching ahead like a question I didn't yet know how to answer. That was the night I realized something. Sometimes, family isn't the people who share your blood. It's the people who show up when the world pushes you out. The first night away from home was strange. I slept in my car, parked by an empty lot on the edge of town. My things were stacked around me, clothes, a few books, my laptop, everything I owned compressed into one small, suffocating space. The air was cold, the kind that creeps through your sleeves and reminds you you're on your own now. By morning, I drove to a nearby cafe that opened early. I ordered the cheapest coffee they had and sat in the corner scrolling through job listings. My savings were thin and my pride thinner. But even then, I refused to text my parents. I couldn't. Over the next few weeks, I drifted between part-time gigs, stocking shelves, delivering groceries, odd freelance jobs online. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Each small paycheck, each long night felt like a brick laid in the foundation of something I was finally building for myself. Still, loneliness hung heavy. Birthdays passed without a single message from home. My sister got married, and I found out from a photo online, her in a white dress, my parents smiling beside her, the caption, "Family means everything." I laughed when I saw it, not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. But that laugh turned into motivation. I doubled down on my freelance work, coding, digital marketing, anything I could learn. I watched tutorials until sunrise, building small projects and reaching out to clients. Slowly, money started coming in, not much at first, but consistent. Enough to rent a small apartment. Months passed. Then one night, an old friend from college reached out. His startup needed help with their online platform. And he remembered I'd been good at that stuff. I took the contract, worked like my life depended on it because it did, and helped the company grow faster than they expected. Within 6 months, they offered me a full-time position. High pay, remote flexibility, and, ironically, stability. I didn't just take the offer. I earned it. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Then came the call. It was my mom. Her voice cracked before she said anything. "Your father isn't well," she started, "and your sister's husband left her. Everything's falling apart." She paused. "Can you come home?" The irony didn't escape me. The same home I'd been ordered to leave was now the one asking me to return. I told her I'd think about it, and I did every night that week. Eventually, I drove back, not out of revenge, but closure. When I pulled up to the house, it looked smaller than I remembered, as if time itself had shrunk it. My dad was sitting on the porch, frail and quiet. For once, he didn't look like the man who'd thrown me out. He looked human. We didn't say much at first. Just silence, shared between two people who'd finally run out of things to prove. Then he whispered, "I shouldn't have said what I said." It wasn't a full apology, but it was enough. I helped around the house that week, repairs, groceries, small things they could no longer manage. My sister avoided eye contact, guilt written all over her face. I didn't rub it in. I didn't need to. Before leaving, my father asked, "You've done well for yourself, haven't you?" I nodded. "I'm doing okay." He looked down. "Good. You always were the one who'd figure it out." That line hit harder than I expected. Maybe it was his way of saying sorry. Maybe it was his way of admitting he was wrong. Either way, it meant something. When I got back in my car, I didn't feel anger or triumph, just peace. I had left that house broken and came back whole. Not because they changed, but because I did. Sometimes being pushed out of a place that doesn't see your worth is the first step toward building a life that does. A few months later, I got a promotion. My company expanded internationally, and I was leading a small team. The irony never left me. The same failure who was told to pack up and leave now had people relying on him, trusting his decisions, valuing his words. My parents called occasionally, softer now. My mother asked about my work. My father listened more than he spoke. They never said sorry, not directly, but their tone carried what pride wouldn't let them admit. And honestly, I didn't need the words anymore. One Sunday, I visited again. My father was in the garden, weaker but smiling when he saw me. He handed me an old box filled with childhood photos. "You should keep these," he said quietly. "You've earned the right to remember where you came from, even if we didn't make it easy." That night, driving home, I realized something simple but powerful. Forgiveness isn't about giving others peace. It's about freeing yourself from the weight they put on you. They pushed me out thinking they were ending my story. They didn't realize they were forcing me to start the real one. If you've ever been told you're not enough, remember, their doubt isn't your destiny. Sometimes getting pushed out is the best thing that can happen to you. Build your own path. Prove them wrong with quiet success. Follow for more true stories that remind you strength grows from rejection,